Good. Okay, let me share my screen. Which one do I share? This one. Guys, confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, we can see.
Now, let me insert some the image from which you are going to be referring to. Where did I save this image? In like project structure. So this is the image from which you're going to be referring to when structuring the Node.js project, and all of these things are into the root directory. Like you can mention like the below structure is into the root directory. Okay, good. Okay, first of all, we are going to create we're going to create a repository from GitHub, right? Mic check.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Check.
Yes, check.
Check.
Okay, so let's go on and have. Let me see what we're going to be having today. Oh, my computer started running very slow due to the recording, but that's fine. Let's create a new repository, and we are going to call it, let's say, my brand, right? API. And this repository, it needs to be public, or you can make it private if you want, but public, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to initialize it with a readme file and the git ignore file for the Node.js, because I need the git ignore file to have like those pre-configured Node.js thing. And also let me give it an like the license, the MIT1 license. So it needs to be having like the base branch needs to be of the main, right? So I'm going to create a repository as well. I hope all of you know how to create a repository, right? So once we are here, I'm going to go to the branches and see if I can add one. I would have to add this one like here. We have this, and what we're going to do now, we're going to create these repositories like I mean those branches. We are going to set up the develop branch and the main branch, which is going to be like the production one. And if we have to have like the staging one, we can have it, the application in the staging mode, right? But now, just because you are dealing with your own project, you are not collaborating, you just need to move from the develop all the way to the main. Like you can deploy your application, you can have the develop as your staging phase. But yeah, let's do this. Okay, do I remember how to add the branch? Let me see. Okay, let me see if I can do something. Develop. Okay, develop. Okay, let me create develop branch. Okay, now that we have the develop branch that is being created from the main branch, what do we do now? We go back here into the branches, and then we can make it, we can switch the default, like we can switch the default to, let's say, okay, I'm going to switch the default to the develop as well and update. I understand. Go ahead and update it. Fine. Okay, what do we do now? We are going to clone this repository, right? Let's go on, and I'm going to do something like I'm going to go to the folder where I want these projects to be stored, right? Hopefully you know how to use the command line, but if you don't know, you can pick up like some commands online, and then you can go ahead and deal with it, right? Okay, I wish I do store all of my projects here. You can see I have a lot of projects here, right? So what I can do now, let me clear the screen. Are you able to see my screen, or I can increase the font size? Hello?
It's okay.
Is invisible.
It is
It's
visible?
no problem. No need.
Okay.
Fine.
So what we can do now, we are going to clone the repository by saying git clone. Then we can paste that link from the repository. Then once we hit enter, we are going to wait for it to be cloned. Okay, now you can see that it has been cloned. When we mention ls, you can see that we have this thing named my brand API here. Do you see? So what we can do now, we can change the directory and go to my my brand API. Once we're there, we can do like some ls. Then you can see we have only the license and the readme file. So with the license and the readme file, what you do here, we are going to initialize the Node.js. It's like we are going to initialize that this project uses the Node.js, and what we can do now, we are going to do like some setup. But now, what this setup does, it creates for us a package.json file. So the package.json file, it's just a file that is going to be keeping track of the dependencies that we have into our projects, and also the project configurations, right? So to initialize the Node.js application, you do this. You say npm init. Once you hit npm init like this, you are going to be asked some questions that you might answer, like what this package is. It has to be like my brand API. This is the package. So once it is not, once you don't want to go through all of these silly questions, because I don't want to go them, you can cancel this by hitting Ctrl+C, and you can also run the recent command, but you can add an option of yes, like it is going to go through each and every question and mark it yes. When I hit enter like this, I'm expecting that this should be into my package.json, these things. So when you go back to your when you list the files here, you can see that we have the file that has been created, package.json. Do you see? Recently we didn't have this file. If I remember well, we didn't have this file when we cloned the project. So what we can do now, let's clear the screen and go into the VS Code and open this project, right? Let me open a new window. Okay, let me bring it here. Alright, so once you are in the VS Code, what we need to do now, we need to open that project of ours, like open folder into the documents and then development, and we can go to the my brand API. This is the one we want to open. So there we are. We have something like a root directory. What does a root directory means? A root directory is this one. This one you see, like my brand API, which is this folder here. Okay, let me see documents. I'm in development, and then you can go and my brand API. This is our root directory. Like you can see all of these folders here, all of these files here that you can see here are the same. So what we can do now, but the thing that you can't see here is the .git ignore. But this is you know, in Linux, something that starts with a dot A file name that starts with a dot, it's basically a hidden file. So to see that file, you can do this, and then you are able to see that file, right? Good. Are we on the same page now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
So now we are going to see the list. We are going to structure our project based on this folder structure here. Do you see this folder structure here? This is what we are going to build. First of all, let's go back to our code. Into the root directory, we need to have something, a folder that is named SRC, which is a source directory, right? Where each and every application code must live, right? To make this very simple, mu Kinyarwanda, buri code yose wanditse ijyanye n'iyi project, it must live inside this folder. Are we together?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we have the source file. Let's go ahead and inside the source folder, we can create another folder named, let's start with, let's initialize our server there. It's not a folder. Let me create a file and name it app.js. Some of you might call it index.js. Some of you might call it server.js. Some might call it like any other names that I don't bother. But I'm doing for you the things that are professional, right? This is a starter project. At the end of the day, you are going to be relying on this starter project, right? So what do we do now? What we are going to do now, we are going to first create the project, like the structure. Let's go inside the source and create the folder named routes, right? This is where all of the API routes or endpoints must live. Let's go ahead and create another folder named services. So the services folder, it's where, do you know this business logic? When you're building an application, you have this business logic things that you need to perform, like let's say everything that touches the database, everything that reads from the database or writes to the database needs to live inside the service folder. So let's go ahead and create the one named controllers. Controllers. Okay, the controller here, every file that needs to control the flow of data must rely here, like the request and the response thing must be inside the controller folder. So again, we need to have another folder here into the SRC that is going to be mainly like middlewares. Do you write middleware like this? Middlewares. All right. So the middleware file, within the middleware folder, it's like, do you know when you are sending a request in Node.js, you have these things like checking if the user who is sending the request is authenticated, is he logged in? Those are some kind of middlewares that you can run in between the request. So also we need to have something like config, where all the project configurations should rest. Okay. We need also to have something like a model, right? Where the models should be. Like all of the database tables and documents definitions should rely. Also, we need to have something also like, no, it's not inside this folder. I think it's inside SRC. I can create another one, like something like validations, right? I hopefully you all know what the validations are. Validations, I think. Okay. Validation. Okay, within this folder we are going to have the validations, like all of the validations thing are going to be relying there. Like you are validating the requests, you are validating if the data that has been sent is valid, or not, right? Also, we are going to have something like helpers. So the helpers are nothing, they're just like some files or some modules or some functions that helps you to do something like to hash the password. When you are hashing the password, you can put like the function to hash the password can be inside the helper, right? Okay, so far so good. We have this project structure, and I think inside the folder here, inside the app, let's go ahead. Let's first install all of the guys. Are you still on the call?
Yes.
Yes, we are on the call.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
What we can do now, we have like almost a complete project structure, but we can rest from there and start focus on the on this package.json file. Within the package.json file, you can see I can explain it to you. Like this project name, it's my brand API. This is its version 1.0.1. Like you can even publish this application to someone there outside there. You can put like the descriptions here if you want, but I don't want that. You can like the main file, it was like it's index.js, but yeah, we don't have that file here, but you can leave it there if you want, because we used the npm init with an option of yes, which means that it is going to go through and have the default configuration. So this is the test command. All of these things are like pre-configured. We are going to delete all of these things in the script because we don't need it right now. I'm just going to define for you more scripts that you can use. The repository, this is the GitHub repository. It's of type Git. Like some other people, they use like some version controlling application other than Git. There are some keywords, you can add them there, like Node.js, Express. Those are the keywords that makes up our configuration. Like, okay, all of these things are like pre-configured. So let's go into the file now, into this file, and read through. You can see here we have all the required dependencies, all packages that we can install to make sure that our project is using ES6 features. We need to have something like Bubble CLI for us to help for it to help us to compile our application on the run, right? Bubble Core, all of these plugins, all of these packages, I'm going to install them, and I'm going to go through each and every one of these packages, explain them by explaining them to you. So first of all, these are the dev dependencies. We have some differences here. Let me first install the dependencies that we need in a production mode. Like these dependencies, mu Kinyarwanda ni dependencies, ni package tuzakenera mu gihe application yacu tuzaba twayideployinze kuri server. That's what we call dependencies. But dev dependencies ni za dependencies dukeneye mu gihe turi ku developinga application. Right? Hello?
Yeah, like
Yes,
right.
Okay. Let me copy this this npm command, and I can come here and open the terminal. So what I need to do now, I need to paste that command here. What does this command do? Npm, which means that I'm using the node package manager to install. I'm telling npm to install for me Bubble CLI, Bubble Core, all of these things. Bubble CLI space, like you can mention each and every package you want. It will start from here. Install Bubble CLI, Bubble Core, Bubble Node. Hopefully you can see this, because I'm not sure if you can see it. Like this. Is this clear? Clear now? Okay. This is.
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead and ask.
Like yesterday, when we were okay, like each time you create a project, you need to install new packages. So like the previous package, in the previous project, you install like Express and Mongols. So when you create another project, you need to install again those packages, each project means that does it need to install a new package in each project?
No. This is the thing. You install a package when you need to use it. For you to be able to know that, for you to be able to know that you don't have that package, you can come here into the package.json. There might be like something, a key, which is like dev dependency and the dependencies. Inside the dev dependency, you are going to have those development dependencies that you want to rely on. But within the dependency, you can see there will be the list of all the packages that you need, that your application is just using in production mode or right now in the development mode. Because with the dependencies, you can consume them in the development mode as well as in the production mode. So once you have that dependency, like reka mbivuge mu Kinyarwanda, uramutse ufite ino file package.json, everything listed in package.json, there is no need yuko umuntu wenda ugiye kuraninga iyo project we azajya yifata agahita yongera akajya ku murongo akaraninga ino command like npm install cli like bubble cli, we azakora npm install gusa. Noneho npm install yo imaking sure ko iba yarabwiwe yuko igomba kujya muri package.json ikareba ama dependency yose ari alistinzemo hariya ikayinstalls. Ntago ari ngombwa yuko winstalla package buruko project uyifunguye. Winstalla package mu gihe uyikeneye utarusanzwe uyifite muri package.json, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and run this command. Let's wait for this thing to, it might take like some 1 to 2 minutes. So keep an eye on this package.json file. Mukomeze muri no package.json file. Muraza kubona something like a key yitwa dependencies and dev dependencies, which is where everything is going to be. Do you see? Now they are being created somewhere. Like, wait. Okay. Now you can see the package.json irahindutse ifite this thing like dependencies, right? All of these things are the packages to install nonanga muri no command line, muri no command line nzana. Bubble CLI, Bubble Core, Bubble Node, all of these things nkuko byagiye bikurikirana: Bubble CLI, Bubble Core, Bubble Node, Bubble plugin proposal like class properties. All of these things are now installed. So we have one more dependency yitwa NodeMon tugiye kuinstalla, but this dependency igomba kuba of dev dependency, which is a development dependency. You can see ino command twaraninze twashizeho option yitwa save, which means that izi package zose turi kuinstalla zigomba gukoreshwa muri production mode, zigomba kujya under this section. Iyo ushizeho save zijya under this section. Iyo ushizeho -d zijya under the dev dependency. Let me run this, you can see. Okay, when you come here, uraza kubona ko hari indi yitwa dev dependencies. Inside dev dependencies, that's where we have NodeMon, right? But this thing I will touch on it later. So what are we going to do now? First of all, we are going to define the server, right? So now what we are going to do now, let's go ahead and configure the project using this package named beta npm. Tugiye kudefining a project yacu. Let me use the whiteboard. How do I use the whiteboard here? Like I'm sharing the screen. Okay. Okay. Are you guys able to see something? No. The zoom thing. Okay. Okay, yeah, let me see. Where can I see the whiteboard? No. No. Reaction, annotation for others, hide annotation, share sound. Okay. This is the thing. I'm going to stop sharing this thing and start sharing with the whiteboard. I'm going to share the whiteboard. Are you able to see this whiteboard? Mike check.
Yeah,
can see.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the application. We are going to define our application like this. Let's say we have an app here. Oh, my typing, Jesus. Okay, we have this app and we have 3 modes from which our app can run. We have first, we have the dev mode. Don't mind my typing. We have the dev mode. We have the prod mode, which is a production mode, right? Oh, Jesus. Mic check.
Mic check. Check.
Mic check.
Check.
Yeah, Jean de Dieu, can you?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
What's the problem?
No problem. I'm following.
Okay.
No problem. I'm following.
Okay. So we have these 3 modes from which our application can run into, like this one, the production mode, as well as the dev mode. So within the dev mode, this mode here, that's when you as a developer ni wowe uzaba uri gutrackinga ino mode. Bira kuvuga ngo you are developing as well as testing the application, right? Also, in the test mode here, ni cya gihe uzaba uri kugira ute application yawe izaba iri kuraninga in the test mode, iri kuraninga all the tests ufite, right? I'm a test wanditse for the endpoints, like the integration test, the end-to-end test, all of these modes. So in the production mode, as a developer here, you are not developing. The end product is on the server. That's the time for the client to consume it. So let's see, how can we manage all of these 3 modes? How can we manage them? So I'm going to stop sharing right now and see if I can share again the screen. Okay, I think now you can see the screen. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to put this thing down and focus on this file. So I have something that I've wrote for you, like those commands. It might take me like time to go through them, but let me get them and paste them here so that I can explain them to you, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go in the package.json file, and we have these 3. Like, do you see in the script here? In the script, right? We can have all of these script. We have build script, we have start script, we have dev script, and test script. So within these 4, start command, this start script ihagarariye production mode, right? Sibyo? Start command ihagarariye production mode, dev command ihagarariye development mode, test command ikaba ihagarariye testing mode. So the build one, iyi ngiyi niyo idufasha kuraninga application yacu, tukabanza tukayivana muri ES6 tukayikonvertinga muri ES5. Tujya gufata these features za ES6 okay, let me show you this. How does ES6 looks like? Let me write this thing for you guys. First, let me configure the bubble thing. I need to have a file here, muri root directory, not inside the source, but muri root hano hariza package.json. I need to have a file named like dot bubble rc, right? This file needs to have this configuration. In folder, in file, tuyibwira what kind of configuration bubble izakoresha mu gihe iri gukora transcompiling, iri gucompilinga code zacu from ES6 all the way up to ES15 cyangwa to any version of JavaScript, to any JavaScript version. So this file here, it's let me take these configurations and I'm going to explain them to you right now. So these are the configurations that we can use. So the preset thing stands for what? When you go to the Bubble website here, Bubble.js. So when you go to the Bubble website, they are just going to tell you like, okay, you can see from here we have this. Do you know that this is like an ES6 thing, and it can be compiled to this thing, right? Once you have something here like let's say let names be equal to Chimana. So with the names being equal to Chimana, you can as well, let's say const, you can as well have like something like here the var. Once you have selected the output, like once you have changed this is the next generation, like JavaScript has this thing like version, next generation. They just refer to the generation that is just going to be coming up. But when you go, when you say let's name be equal to this, it's just going to, do you see that we didn't even specify the semicolon, but when compiling it, they just added the semicolon because they know that some browsers, some servers, some Node.js versions, they don't even care about this, but it has to be done with the default configurations. How do you do that? When you go to the setup here, they will just ask you to, let me say, you can select which environment do you want to set up. Let me see where is Node. When you click, you can see that they are telling you that you can use this thing, Bubble preset env. And remember, we installed this package, which is Bubble preset env. It's here. Once we did installed it, we can go ahead and use it because it has like a preset default for us. We don't have to go ahead and define all of these things by ourselves because I'm lazy. Yeah, everyone can be lazy as I am. You can go ahead and use the default ones. But if you want to define yours, there's no problem. You can go ahead and do the preset things and then you specify like here, like they did here, the documentation. Let me show you the configure bubble.js here. You see within the preset here, they can mention like the name of the package that they want. Let me see. Where is it? The preset things and also the plugins. Yeah, where are you? Okay, bubble preset. Okay, so configure bubble usage. Where are you? Configuration file, config file. So with the config file, you can have different things, like it can come into different mode. Like you can use the, do you see these rules That's what you can define. You can define the bubble loader. You can set the options to go like if you want to learn much more about these things, please go ahead and read the bubble website. But right now, just because we are just in rush, we can use the preset configurations, right? Using this preset env, right? It's like using the preset environment for us. Okay, what does this plugin does? Let me go ahead and remove this so that I can show you what this does. Let me go ahead and have this thing with the preset. And also come back here. And how do you set up an Express server? For those of you who followed the tutorial, it was quite straightforward, but you can search for Express.js. And when you come to Express.js and you go to get started and let's say the hello world application, you can see, let's copy this and come here, paste it into the app. Right now we have a working server, like we have already initiated the server. How? We just used the Express. We just require the Express. What does this mean? We have the package here named Express, and Express is like a Node.js framework. We have Express. We have like there is a lot of server framework for the Node.js, but the most commonly used one is Express, and it's much easier to learn, and also it's much better, and also it has like a lot of community that is open source community that is behind this library, this framework. So with this, we have just got the Express. We did require the Express. So far here we can do import Express from Express, but this is the ES15. This is the ES15 code. With the ES6 we could have said import something. Let's say let's comment this, and you say, okay, let me first do this and set up the bubble node here. Like, do you see these commands? They run npm run build beta npm. So we need to define the beta npm commands by just getting these commands. For us, I wrote like these ones, but we can define it ourselves. Let me define it with you guys so that you can understand it. So we need
Excuse
to
me.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So Express works the same way Tomcat works in Java?
Yeah, I think with the Tomcat in Java, it's just to initialize for you the dev server, right?
Yeah.
So the same way, yeah, it's just works the same way, but not really, because JavaScript, when some people might say that JavaScript is ugly. Why? Because when you try to compare it to other technologies outside there, you are going to fall off, because it doesn't even rely on the same concept at all. It's just go in its way. Like with the Tomcat, I think with the Tomcat you can't manage the routes, right?
No.
So the Tomcat is just for you to run the development server, but once you save the changes, it has to pick up the changes to watch for you the files, right?
Yeah.
But with Express, it's just a framework that integrates with the Node.js, because you can see here we are just using Express. But the thing that you can compare with the Tomcat, it's something like Node or NodeMon.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. This beta script, it's something like you have to define it this way, like with this name. Hari inzira ebyiri ushobora gukora kuko turashaka gutrackinga mode application yacu iri kuraningamo. Either we can use the cross env, which is something that seems more likely to work in Linux only, but for us to be I have had this problem working with these things. yitwa cross environment iteza ibibazo cyane, so I prefer navuze nti ntabwo tugomba kuyikoresha for now. What you're going to be using turakoresha iyo bita beta npm. So cross environment muri Windows iracrashinga, no muri Linux igakora. So this is the thing. Let's go with the beta npm, which works for both Windows, Mac OS, and also the Linux. So this cross env ikintu ukora no gupassinga. Do you see this variable node env production? Nyine is specifying environment application yacu iri kuraningamo, but with the beta npm we can just define it. Let's go ahead and do it. Within the beta script we need to have 3 modes. First of all, the dev mode. Second of all, the production or the test mode, because you develop, you test, and you go to the production, right? These are the 3 modes we need. So with all of the 3 modes, we need to define which command we need to run in the dev mode. We can have something like command, okay, something like also which command do we need to run, we can mention it there. We can as well put something like the env, the environment variables, right? Env. With the env, what do we have there? We can have a script like it can be an object as well, and this object is going to take something, all of those environment variables ushaka gukoresha. Ya mbere twashakaga ni ihe ni node underscore env. This was the first one, which is going to be let's say kwa turi muri development, you can say development, right? Development. We can also specify the port that we need our server to run on. We can say port, no, in capital letter, because they are constants, right? Let's say muri development mode turashaka kwiruninga on port 3000, right? Good. So let's go ahead and copy all of these things and put them here, but we might change the values. We might also go in the production mode. Which script do we want to run? Okay, hano muri test, we can mention test. On which port? Let's run it on port 5000. Hano muri production, it has to be something like production mode, which means that our product is in production. But we don't have to specify the port, because the server is going to provide for us the port, the online server, right? But you can go ahead and put it there if you want, because you can be very strict, but I don't highly recommend you to do this, to use this. But let me go ahead and remove it. It might confuse our production mode. So then let's see which command do we run here. Mugihe turi running application yacu muri development mode, either we can mention node, then we go to the src, then we can run something like app.js. So far we have this, and also we can copy this as well and put, no, let's first go with the development mode. Tuzatachinga test mode igihe tuzaba tugiye gutesting application, igihe tuzaba tugiye kudeploying, but for now we are developing. Let's go with this, right? Cool. So when you come here, uraza gusanga ni running npm run dev, igomba gukora beta npm run dev, which means that igomba kuza hano muri beta script ikaraning ino script yitwa dev. So let's see what we have now. In the package.json, we are expecting the server to run, right? But the port here, okay, reka tuyireke igumire static gutya, none turaza kuyiloadinga dukoresheje environment variables. let's run this application first. We can say npm run dev. What will happen? You see, now we are able to access the server. And what will happen when we send the request to this server, which is localhost port 3000? Am I expecting something like a magic? Let me see. Localhost port 3000. You see, we see the hello world, right? Which is something this server does. Once you hit this route, you can receive the hello world. So, which means that now our server is running. But what will happen when we mention something like import? I could have said this. Let me do this. I'm just fooling myself. Import, like, let's say import express from express. This is a valid format, I know. This is a valid format, and let me go ahead and do this and do this. You see now our server is not, we can't tell that there has been some changes here. So what we need to do now, we can cancel this server and rerun it. Boom, there we have an error, which means that import express from express, which means cannot use import statement outside a module. This is an error, and we want to use this beautiful ES6 codes. What can we do to make sure that our node application can understand such kind of ES6 code? This is an error we have introduced. What can we do to just make sure that we don't have to use this ugly code like require things? I hate these things, and I'm very sure that you all hate it because it's very old, it's cumbersome to put into our mind. But using import express from express is just very simple, it's very understandable. How can we deal with this? So to do that, remember in our bubble configuration file here, there is something we deleted here, like this one. I'm hoping that once we come back here into our package.json here, within the development script, when running the node, it won't work. Why? Because we are not compiling our code with bubble. Let's first see if it works. If it works, so let's run the application again. Again the error comes, and hence we did specify that we need bubble to run with the transform using the runtime environment, as well as the plugin proposed class. Like this is a proposed class, like the import thing here. So what can we do to fix this thing? So we come back here to our command, and you see we ran our project with a node, but it's very common to say that it's not that common. It's very understandable, and it makes sense to say that we need to compile our code with bubble node. We need to use bubble node, right? Let's see what happens then. What happens? It says that cannot find import things my brand bubble node. So what do? Let's see. Script dev throw error up.js. It was running somehow. My brand executing dev to be executed, then bubble node, then okay, bubble node says cannot find module development my brand. Then is it bubble node? Oh, I forgot something. We could have used something like nodemon. I think bubble node goes with the nodemon thing. So let's see, nodemon exec, like it needs to follow something like it needs to execute this thing as well. Let's see. Yep, now our server is running. Why is it running? NodeMon, it's just saying that before, like I think if we could have used like node execute thing here. You can see now our app is running. Let me see this. Okay. And let me save the package.json and run the same command. They said that the node doesn't have the execution. It says better npm run execute and execute to be executed nodemon exec then node. Okay, that's fine. With node we don't have the permission to run this thing, the exec command, but with nodemon we do. So let me take an advantage here and show you what does the nodemon do. You can see once we run our server here, we have this yellow thing and green thing, which means that any change that we can make here, let's say let's just change here, example app demo, and save. It is just going to pick up the change. We don't have to stop the server and rerun the server. With nodemon you can go ahead and develop as long as you are just the server, your server is restarting always once you change the files, right? Do you understand the difference between nodemon and node? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
So mu Kinyarwanda nodemon idufasha kuwatchinga each and every file in our project, all the javascript file, json file, buri file yose duchanginze server ihita yirestartinga igatwara n'izo change ikaziraninga. Ariko dukoresheje node byadusaba ko dustopinga server tukongera tukayiraninga kugira ngo izo change zijye in action. So good. So now let's see, what do we do now? All right. Now you can see we are able to use the import statement into our JavaScript file, right? So what next? Let's set up the server and connect it to our MongoDB, right? So I highly recommend you, let me have this format here, which is going to be something like ES6 code. Let's go with the ES6 code, right? I'm going to stop all of this. I'm going to start with the import express, which is the first thing that we need to have from express. Import express from express. And with this we can copy this and paste it, because we need something like also we can okay, let me go with this thing, the first one. Let us go with mongoose, right? Mongoose from mongoose, right? Now we have got the mongoose as well. Let's also have this thing like first of all I need you to know how the process environment variables works. Urabona, let me ask you this question, all of you guys. Anyone can unmute, feel free to unmute and say something. This is the question I'm asking. Muribuka neza yuko for the recent project you have done in Node, iyo mwari mumaze iminsi ibiri mukora, you had this thing like pod mukayisetinga to 3000. Let's say u deploying the, pushing the code za kuri GitHub. Do you think you are not exposing your application to the hackers?
Yeah, of course the application is exposed because you are putting your private variables into the public world, so it is exposed.
Okay, which is something that needs to be taken care of, right? So let's see, how do we tackle that? First of all, I'm going to create a file here named .env, right? which is going to hold for us the environment variables, right? Like we need something like the port, but right now the port we did define it here. Remember we had the variable here node env and the port, right? And also we have something, we have some other variables tuzakenera nk'urugero test, or we can say development DB, right? Development database, which is going to be like a connection string there. We can as well have okay, we can have test DB. We can have also production, which means dukeneye ama database angahe atatu. Hari database yacu iri local tuzajya twiconnectingaho, hakaba na database yacu iri online, hakaba na database yacu wenda ya test, sibyo? So iri online ni ya database yacu iri kuri server runaka, ariho tuzajya dushira data ziri real, data z'aba client. Data zo muri testing mode ni za data tumokinga turi gutestinga application yacu. Development mode ni za data dukoreraho turi ku developing application. Okay, the database, right? So the thing right now, let me have a connection string for the MongoDB. Let me have it. Okay, let me use this one, test DB. Let's have this one. You see, it's the same as the MongoDB. Go to the localhost, which is this IP address thing, and then you can use this port, which is the port for the MongoDB server, and you can use the database named testdb. Let's go ahead and have this in place, and we can as well come back here and define the port. How do we define the port then? So,
Excuse me?
yes?
Yeah, usually I have questions on this import. When you say import express from express, so that keyword in the blue color, can we rename it to anything, or it should be strictly the same way?
First of all, if you want to use it as another keyword that you feel like you can remember throughout your code, you can't rename it like this. Let's say you mentioned expresses like this. You can't get it. It's just going to be an error. This thing doesn't live here in express, right? So if you want to be able to use it as the name you want, you can say as, then you give it the name you want, right? Import express as, let's say, Eli, like this. You see? You can use this format if you want.
Okay.
Like this. You can use this format if you want. But yeah, express is not an ugly word that you can't remember.
Yeah, I just wanted to get well.
Yeah, it works the same way like in Python you know these imports in Python, they exist. So you can use them, right? So let's go ahead and define our application.
Okay. Question.
Yes.
Can you use both require and import from?
Yes, you can use both, but imagine you are being graded by the senior developers and then they are going to find you mixing things. How would that feel for you? Imagine you are reviewing the code and then you find someone used import, others used require. So it's very common. You can use require, there's no problem. The problem here is that with the require, it's an old version of JavaScript, right? It's an old version. But with the next generation JavaScript, we just use import, const, let, those kind of things. But I'm going to show you how this code is going to be looking in ES6 version. I mean ES5 version. Let's first have this server running and we are going to look at it, right? Like in in ES15 you can't use asynchronous code, but in ES6 you can use them. So let's first have this server in place. Let's first have this server running, and we can go ahead and see the difference between ES6 and ES15, right? Const app, then we can define the app which is going to be of the express. We can call the express like we can in oh no, Jesus, the express, and after calling the express right now, we can as well define the port, but this port needs to be the port. Let's say the const port to be equal to the, how do we catch the port based on the environment that our application is running in. We can do something like this: import everything from .env. Remember, this is a package we installed here into the dependencies. Here you see we have a .env package which is going to help us catch each and every variable here, right? And also the variable that we did pass into here, like the .node env, the port kind of. So let's go ahead and use config, its configuration thing. So we can do like process .env then we can get the port, right? From there we have access to the port. Oh no, just we have access to the port. Now it's time for us to start the server. How do we start the server? Let's say I need to do something. I need to console this port and see if the port is in the development. Let me say const, I'm in console.log port. Let's see what is inside the port. So you can see now we have port 3000, which is this port we set here in the development mode. Then let's see the test mode. Let's see the command for the test mode, so that we can have the same thing. We can listen to that test mode. What do we do within the test mode? You can run the same command here, because we are not building our code, and we can cancel this server, and we can do npm run test, right? Remember, last time we ran the dev, last time we ran this command. Now we are going to run the test, which is going to refer to this script here, npm run test. You see, let's wait. You see, now we have port 5000, which are different. Lastly, with the development mode, we had 3000. Now we have 5000, right? Now we can tell our application. Now we know that at this point, our application is running in different modes. But when you come here and say, let me say, let us say like something like const mode, right? To tell the mode that our application is running into. I'm very lazy. Copy this thing, paste it there, and you can say the node underscore env, the variable, to just tell ourselves which mode are we running into. It's running in these things like let's say mode, then we can say mode. Alright, let's see what will happen. Now you can see the app is running in test mode, and when we want to run it in development mode, we can say npm run dev, like this. The app is running in development mode. Can you tell, guys?
Yes.
Sure. Okay, this was the testing thing to see if we can catch the environment variables. All right, now we have the environment variables in place. What do we do? Then let's start our server, right? How do we start our server then? So we can have something like const. Then we can define a function that is going to be an asynchronous function. Remember, ntago mwemere gukoresha ES15 code. Like in the recent project twari dufite, like ugahita utangira ugakora mongoose, then ugakora .then, like .connect .then. Here we are going to use the asynchronous code. Let's define our server function, which is going to be an async function, right? And this async function can be of an arrow function. Then inside here, that's when we can use something like ES16 code. Remember, with ES16 code, we have something like try and catch. Then, do you know the meaning? I mean, do you know the logic behind try and catch concept? So we are going to try something. If that something failed, we are going to catch its error here. Then we can say console.log error, like this. You can console the error. Then here, what can we do? We are going to connect to the server using the mongoose thing. So how do we do that? We are going to do something like await. You have to await for the mongoose, right, to connect to this server, from which this server, remember the mongoose takes something like the URL, like the connection string, right, to the database, and the options. And these options, they can be something like use new URL parser, kind of all of these options. Let's have something like process.env dot, then we get this variable. Remember, this variable holds this value. This is a connection string. We could have took this and put it here, but not. We don't want, no. We don't want that, but we want this variable only, because this variable is referring to that value. Then we paste it there. Then we can have such options like use new URL. Remember, you had this in mind. Like, if you don't use it, you're going to be suggested to use it. Mongoose is going just to yell at you and say, yeah, you had to use this person. So this person just have to be true, if I think so. If I guess, well, then yeah, that's what we had to do, right? So now we can connect to the database. Then what do we do? Once this is done, we can say app this variable application, and we can start using like express, like app dot express, like app dot use. Let's use this middleware. They are like the functions that defines that our application. When you go back to the express API reference, you can see the application. Then you can tell the methods. The methods are here. Where is it? App.use. Then where do we see the JSON, like the express JSON? Okay, express.json, this one. You can tell that it's a body parser, right? It helps us to pass JSON data inside our application and outside our application, right? Express.json, and it has to be a function. Now we know that our application is going to use this middleware, and again we can have app.use. Then which kind of routes do we want to use? But now let's define that. Let's define the routes, right? Let's make sure that whenever someone hits this endpoint, like /API This is the versioning. Then with the version 1, we need to make sure that these people are forwarded to something like routes, right? And they can go to this middleware named route. But let's define this thing. It needs to be here inside the routes. Let's have a file named index.js. Within the index.js, we can define something. We can first import express, right? Import express. Express from express. Import express from express. Then you can go ahead and define the route. You can say like const routes to be equal to express dot router. This needs to be of the class, I think. Yeah, express dot router. Then you can do like something like export default. You can export this default as a default route, right? Routes. All right, now we have this in place. We can go ahead and import it here. Like we can hover here. Route is not imported. We can say import routes from this folder named routes, right? Then you can use these routes here. Then how do you use these routes as well? You can as well define the routes, and then you can define which kind of routes you need to use. Like when you go to this file here, sorry, when you go to this file here, you can mention like routes dot use again. Then you mention when someone comes up with an URL like API version something, then you need to give them like a callback function like a middleware, which is going to be something like this middleware takes what? Takes a request, a response, and the next keyword. You don't mind. The next keyword is like something I'll just have to show you how it works. Yeah. Then with the next keyword, it means that once this URL passes, it needs to go to another like the other middleware to be executed. So next we can have something, let's say res dot send. Okay, let's send them this. Welcome. Welcome to our API. Right. This is like the index thing. Whenever someone hits something like this, let me put it in comment here. Whenever someone said like local hosts on port, like you mentioned the port as well. After the port, they mention API and v1. This is what they should see. They should see welcome to our API. Then I'm not interested in doing this thing right now here, because you can go ahead and straightforward understand this. What we can do now, let's go ahead, let's go on and see if someone hits on this thing. What should the server do? The server should listen to what? The server should start listening to the request. You should open the socket to the request. It's like app.listen. Then this listen takes the callback function as well as the port. Then you can pass the port here. After passing the port, then you can as well pass the callback function. What should happen once the app starts listening? This is going to be some, okay, I think I made a typo here. This should be, let's say, we can say something like console. We can like, remember in the app we had like the app is listening on port like this. Then you can say console.log something like the server is running on port something like port like this, on port this. Okay, yeah, this is how it could have gone. Then once we saved this, we are expecting to see something in the console, and yeah, let me go ahead and cancel the server and clear up our thing right now, and try out this thing. Okay, run it in the development mode. Let's wait for it to see, clear the exit. Maybe there might be something like is my MongoDB running? Let me see. Oh Jesus. So let me see. Control, or direct system control, start Mongo D system control. Oh, I typed system control. Is it systemctl? Okay, now I think my server is running. Let me see. Status. Okay, now my server is running. Alright, let's see. How about I first console this thing to see if I can see it, because I'm not really sure. Oh Jesus, I'm not really sure that my app is running. Before each and everything right now, let me save here. Let me come back to the app and see if, okay, okay, I'm able to see this, but I'm unable to do this. So what can we do? Let's see. What's the problem right now? My app is not running on a specified port. So am I able to send the request to this app? Can you tell, guys? Am I able to send the request to this app, to this application? Mic check.
Mic check.
Can you tell that if I'm able to send a request? Let's first open the Postman and see. Or we can test it using our recently sent request to this thing and see. You see, this site can't be reached, so that we can mention something like API like v1 slash, then let's see. Yep, our server is not running. What can we do to see, and I mean to see if our server can run. Let's first wait for these things to see.
Mic check, I have a problem.
Yes.
You stored like this async function in a variable server. So do we need like
Oh,
this variable?
Jesus! Oh my God! Very sorry. Thank you, man. I think we were unable to see this thing. Jesus. We had first to call this function, right? Thank you for following, right? I was focused on this try and catch things. I was not looking here, right? We had first to call this thing and then to see if our server can listen. Let's see what will happen when we send this. You see, welcome to our API, right? Guys?
Yeah, right.
So
Okay.
I want to know who did follow this and mention and can see that I was unable to call this function. Who did mention this? Hello?
Yeah, mic check.
Gabe, were you the one?
Yes.
Good, you deserve an airtime. You have to text me asking me your airtime.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Good. Now we have our server running. So what can we do now? First of all, you know that whenever someone hits this endpoint with API and these things, let's see within. Let me bring the postman here. Let me go ahead and delete these things. Let's start a new collection. You all need to understand this. I'm going to send you this collection. Tugiye gutangira collection yitwa wenda my brand, sibyo? My brand API. Then I can do this. Then inside my brand API, you need to have different folders. First of all, you need a folder that deals with articles. Sibyo? Nikuvuga ngo each and every request ijyanye na article izajya muri no folder. Inside this collection as well, you need another folder that deals with queries. Sibyo? Each and everything that deals with the queries needs to be into this folder. You need another folder that deals with authentications, right? Authentication, or you can mention them like auths, which are authentications, right? Which is going to be like user sign in and user, like the user can log in, can log out, and can do such things, right? Okay. You need also to have something. Okay, these are enough. Like within the auths, you can as well. Okay, you can have something like. Sorry, you can have something like user, right? Where you have to update their profile, right? Okay. So. Each and everything that goes with this endpoint. Let me add the welcome endpoint. Add the request, which is going to be welcome. This is the format you all need to have. Alright? So, for the welcome endpoint, you can say something like this. Let me copy this thing. Lazy as hell. I'm lazy, really. You can use this thing, and once we send this request, we are expecting welcome to our API like this. Good, right? It's not supposed to be welcome to our API. It's supposed to be welcome to my API like that. But you can as well do something like reformat the code, but for now you can learn how to do so. Like you can return a JSON if you want. in a JSON format. You can say something like the response dot status. Then you can mention the status of 200. Dot JSON. Is it dot JSON? JSON as well. Then you can send something like like an object, which is going to be something like let's say status, and this status needs to be of 200, let's say, under the message, which is going to be that message. What will happen when I send the same request as well? Okay, it seems that there might have been some error, like cannot set header after they are sent. Let me see something. Give me 1 minute. I need to see something, because within the documentation we have something like okay, I think we might have mixed things here. Like, we don't have to send, we can even use the JSON to just do it. We can return back the JSON. Let me see what will happen here. Okay, now it's running. Alright, you can see we are mentioning that the status is 200. Okay, then we can mention the status of the query as well as the message. This is the format you are going to follow. Once you have some data to return back in response, you will have to use something like you can put an attribute here mentioning data, right? You can say data instead of the, you can, this is like let's say you can put, you have to follow this format. It can be something of the empty, like this. Once you have some data, just return them, but once you don't have, just return an empty string, like this. So far we have our project running, like by accessing. Yes.
How about if you want to return a page? Maybe you want to send like a welcome page. Yeah.
I can't get it. How about?
I mean, if you want to send, if someone passes through that route, and you want to send him to a page, like you want to take him to a welcome to index.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. So here's the thing. Once, do you know the concept of MVC and the API?
Yes.
So with the API, we don't deal with the page. We only deal with the data. This is what we are doing. We just we receive the request and then we send back the data. So that the people who are doing the front end thing, they can take that data and render them to their pages by themselves. But if we have the MVC approach, right? The MVC approach, it's that when you have this thing like the view, like the model view controller, right? Within your controller, you can have something like let me see. You can have something like a controller that makes sure that you redirect the user to a view, which is that page you mentioned, and then that view is going to render this information, like the context. You pass the context to the view, right? Hello, Ellie? Hello? Mic check, Ellie. Guys, are you still there?
Yes. Oh, yes, too.
Hopefully Eli did got my answer. So now it's time to take this thing, this callback function here, and move it to the controller, because within the routes we don't want to see some execution, some business execution things, or some execution thing. Like we need to see the call. We can cut this thing off, like let's say, okay, let me see. We can come to the controller and define something like a new file, like a welcome dot controller dot js. So this is to mean that this is a controller. We can say export const welcome, right, which is going to be this callback function. Can carry off, and I can be here into the welcome control. I can paste it there, and I know that I have to close this thing. When do I? No. Jesus. Okay, let me see. You open. Let's make it a nice thing. It's not touching the data as well. You need to open this thing, which was the request. We need to open this as well. You need to close this. Let me see, and then you need to close this here, which is going to be the JSON file, which is going to catch something like this. Okay, good. All right, now what we can do now, we can mention the welcome here. Good. Then it is going, my VS Code is going to import it, to import the welcome controller here, so I can delete this. So you can see now the welcome is imported, and we can use it here, which means that we are getting this function from here and got it here to the index. So now what you can do now, you can do something like copy paste. Then once someone said /articles, yeah, they need to be taken to the routes of articles routes. Like you can say something like articles routes. Then whenever someone mentions something like user, right, they need to be taken to the user route. Okay, user routes. Whenever someone mentioned something like queries, they need to be taken to the queries routes. So now it's time for us to define these queries. Now you can see we are just building the format, the project format. Nuvuga ngo mu gihe umuntu ahitinze endpoint idafite ikindi kintu ari /API/v1 ningini is our called. Whenever someone mentioned an endpoint ifite /API/v1/articles, it should be dealing with this, and also the same way, right? So now what we are going to do, tugiye kudefining these routes: article routes, user routes, and queries routes. So let's go ahead and have this thing in place here. We can define a folder inside here and then call it API, right? These are the API routes, and then you can call a folder, you can define a folder like user.routes.js. Then you can define something again like article.routes .js. You can as well give it a file as well named dot routes dot js. Okay, let's go ahead and have something like starting from the article. You are going to do the same thing like it is here, but you need to use something like a router, right? So with the queries, you can have something like a router, but inside this thing, you can do something like, let me say, user, where is the article? You can import, let me copy this thing. I'm very lazy for this thing. Mic check.
Mic check, everybody.
Mic check.
No, I have a question. Sorry, can you stand back on that slide that contain routes? Which index? Is it index? No, app.js. Yeah, you used routes.use. So I wanted to ask, when you test in Postman, there's no method to use. So which method do you use?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be defining now.
No, I mean, when you went to test.
Look, at this point, let me show you this. Let me do this. Maybe you noticed this. Let me do this. Whenever someone did this, right? We are going to take all of this thing. And if this is a method here, you can mention get. Because it's a get method.
Yeah.
But if we left it like use, and we come back here in the API and mention the middleware to be used, right? We can do it as well. But this is like chaining a lot of things that are not needed, right? We can't chain them. We can say get like this. There's no problem. But in this file, yeah, I feel very sorry that people might get confused. Let's use the same format so that whenever someone reaches this point, let's say welcome.route.js, then you can do something like okay, where is this thing? Express to the welcome, import it, then you can say const router to be equal to, or route to be equal to express dot router and then you can go ahead and export it. Export route, which is going to be route like this. Export default. Need to export it as a default. Let's do this. Then inside here you can say like route dot, then you mention gate if it is gate. Whenever someone mentioned something like slash, that's when you can call that welcome controller. Then you go back to the index. Within this, then you don't have to mention something like you can say welcome from within, you can say you can import it here. Import welcome, like okay, you can say something like welcome route, I guess. You can say import welcome route, no, welcome route from this file. You go back to the API, then you do welcome. Then there you can say this, you can put it here, then yep, like this. I think now it's going to make sense. Let me see if the response can. Is the server running? Oh, there has been a lot of errors. App crashed. Let's first fix this thing. So we have this in place. Let me save it. We have this in place as well. Let me save it, and let's go again and do this and take it to user route. But we are not going to be using the welcome controller. We can when someone did this into the, they can have like a callback function. Remember, you will have to change this to put it into the controllers, right? Let me say within the controller, what do we have here? Oh man, it's just chaining a lot of things. Okay, let's do one thing at a time. Let's deal with the welcome first, and then we'll deal with the article second, because now I can see I'm going to be dealing with a lot of errors in place. I can do something like res.status, which is going to be like 200, and .json. Okay, and this JSON needs to follow the same way as the welcome controller. This needs to be of the same way. Let's say this will return users, all users, like this. Okay, this has to return all users, and let's go back here and mic check. David, are you saying something?
Yeah. Yes, I can see that you omitted to mention the parameters, that is the request and response.
Oh.
And can that make the errors? Yeah.
No, this won't make any error, but they are optional. I think they're optional. Yeah. Requests, response, and the next keyword, like this. Let me see if everything now here is in place. Oh, the rest. Where are you coming from? Okay, within the controller, I think the rest is not there. Good. Okay. The same thing here. Let's see, within the queries, let's go with it. Then this will return all queries. This will have to return all articles. Okay, and next up they are saying the error here is reference error. Development, my brand, they say article route is not defined. Article route is not defined. Okay, I'm going to fix this. So with the article routes, yeah. So when we mentioned something like this, we have first, let's see, when we did this, we have to, let me rename them. I was just following the thing. Let me see, we can say article routes, like this, it is going to be exported as default, and this one can be renamed to queries routes. Okay, and also this one needs to be renamed to user routes. And this one needs to be renamed to welcome routes dot js. Oh, let me see, welcome routes dot js. Okay, again within the index we can import these things like welcome routes from welcome routes. Okay, and also we can say article they are called article routes. You can say as well queries routes and users routes, and then we can do this as well. You can say import article routes from this file, then you go to the API, and then you go / then article routes. Then you can also do the import. Are you still there?
Yes, check.
Yes.
Yes.
So bear with me, I'm still debugging this code. There is this thing you need to understand, the import and the export. When you export default, you're expecting to bear with the naming of the file. Queries, and also import user routes from API, then I can gracefully go down to my application. Wow, yeah, good. Now we have debugged the application already. So let's go back to the app.js and remove this console here, because I'm at the end of the day I'm going to be giving you all of this code, and then you're going to build upon this code, right? Mic check.
Yeah, right.
So you have to follow this approach, because it's just going to be easy for me and for you to understand or to learn how to do these things professionally, right? Please,
Okay.
please, you do have to follow. All you have to do at the end of the day is just for you to come here and define the endpoints. Always just endpoint and controller, you test. Endpoint and controller, you test. By Friday, we need to have all the API running. And you can see at the end of the day, I can end up having all the API running. Not even at the, like by 14 hours, I can be done with the whole API. But I don't want you to be that in that way. So let's send this request again to see if it is going too much. Okay, it is running as well. So Gabin. So your question was, within the index, like within the app, we mentioned that when someone hits this API, they need to use these routes, and then when you come to index inside this routes folder, you can also check, does the path ends with only /? Then you call the welcome routes. You go here to the welcome, and then you call this dot get. whenever someone mentioned something like articles, then they will come here. If it is get or if it is post, you can define it here. Is it getting the articles? Is it posting the articles? Is it all of those things? You are going to define all of those things here. If it is post, you put it here. If it is something, you put it here. Then you use the controllers, and then you go to the controllers and then set the controllers. So in this thing, the welcome needs to be like this. But remember, within the controllers, let's say let me do this. You are going to have something like article, right? If it is article controller .js, then inside article control.js, the only one thing that you will have to do is just for you to use the class, right? With the class, you can name your class like article controller article controller. Then you name your class like this, and then you will have to export it, right? Or you can do this thing. You can do export like this. Then this is how you're going to deal with all of these things. Like you can have methods here like create article, the create article function. You can as well have something like copy paste, create article, get all articles, get article, update, and delete. These are all the methods that you need to have. Then at the end of the day, you are going to be using these class things. Then you are going to import it here inside your routes, right? Hello. Within the article things here, whenever someone's mentioned like this thing, like you can come here inside the article controller, the same way it needs to have a request, response, and the next. I might have did this and because I don't want request, response, and the next keyword, which is pretty much this. This is how your code needs to look like. Then inside here, that's when you can do all of that things. So whenever someone mentioned the get thing, that's when you are going to the nota bene here to do. Let me give you the to do here. To do, don't access database from this file. You only need the service. Do you understand the meaning of the services? Hello?
No.
So the services are going to be like each and every file. Do you see this format we have here? You will have to create the same thing. to each and every operation. Like try to have the singleton, like the singleton, we call it singleton design pattern. Have this one thing, this one class that is doing each and everything that you want. Creating the article, reading all the articles, retrieving them, updating them, all of those kind of operations. Yeah, and also you can create something like service or queries or user controller dot JS. Do the same thing. You have to define a class. I'm not going to do it for you now. Queries controller dot JS. Queries controller.js. There we go. Then I feel like I need to close all the things and open the ones I need. Okay. Queries controller. You have to set up the class for the queries. You have to set up the class for the users. You have also to manage the class for the comment. Do you remember? You have the comments. Hello. So for the comment thing, I'm not going to do it for you now. You will have to do it starting from here, the API all the way up to the controllers, all the way up to the... You are not allowed to use functions, like functional approach. You are not allowed to go and define this kind of functions like I did here. This is just a welcome that does nothing. A welcome function that does nothing. Just stay like that. And for this thing, you have to use the class-based approach like this. Do you understand me? People, why can't you talk?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and have this thing here in place. For the welcome, no. For the article, yes. Then this needs to be of what? Of the queries. Anyway, let me do this because I'm spoiling you too much. No, don't save. Oh, Jesus. If I keep doing these things, I might end up doing the API for you guys. Go ahead and learn. The rest is for you to do what? To have the controller here, I mean the OOP thing. You have to learn how to use the object oriented. Like within this thing, you have to have like a constructor, and this constructor will have to take nothing other than instantiating the service, right? The service that you want to access. Like if this is a service, let me see which service is this one. The services also needs to be of the classes. Within the service, you can say something like article services, like that, like the article services dot JS. So inside the article services, you can have like export class article services. Then this article services, it needs to have all of these functions, like create article, do this, like that. Like you can have the same thing, create. Let me copy those those methods here, because they are going to be, they don't have to take the request thing. They only take the data. Like if it takes, like creating the article, it takes the data, right? The data that you want to create. If it is if it is getting all the article, you don't have to take the data. If it is getting an article, you have to take the ID of that article. If it is update article, you need to use the ID as well, right? If it is delete, you need to mention the ID that has to be deleted, which is the ID. And remember, whatever this returns goes back to the controller so that the controller can return back the response to the user. Let me first do for you something like how do we access the database? Because I know most of you, if you haven't worked with the framework called the Nest.js, which is a Node.js framework, you're not going to understand this, right? I think. Hello.
Hello?
I think you're not
No.
going to. I think
Yes,
you're not.
check.
Mic check.
Yes, check.
So do you remember those?
Check.
Do you remember those models you had here? Like at the recent application, you had a model that deals with the post, right? So within the model of the post, you had to have something like a data definition, a data modeling of your model, of your schema. Then you will have to import that model here before you do anything. You can import the model, like here. You can say import the model you need to access. Right? Once you have this model here, you can go ahead and do such things like model.save the name of the model, then you save the data to the database, then the model dot this and this. But I will leave the model for you guys to define them. For like you can have article.js. You can as well have something like how do we call it, like comment.js. You can as well have something like query, right, .js. You can also have something like user.js because you're going to be managing the user, right? What's left? Did we forget anything about the portfolio website?
How about likes?
The likes are going to be counted inside the comments. Hello?
Yeah, it's okay.
Or you can have like the table of the likes if you want to, but I highly suggest that you can. Okay, about the likes, first go ahead and manage to do all of this. Once you have to deal with the likes, that's an exception. Like, I mean, that's an additional thing. It's an optional thing. Go ahead and do it if you want. But for now, first make sure that you can deal with all of these things. Okay?
Yes.
Now it's time that I can... did I forget anything? Oh, yeah. In the app.js, we need to have this configuration. Like, we need to check if, okay, if the process.env, can you mute yourself? I can see myself, I can hear myself in the background. Node env. Okay, if the process.node.env, let's say, how do we okay, let me get it here. Ukuvuga ngo dushobora kuvuga const mod, which is going to be equal to the process.env. Then we can say, or development, we can say something like development. This word is confusing me always. Let me copy this. No kuvuga ngo hano tugiye kubanza to making sure turebe which environment variables to be used based on the app mode. If it's mode, if there is a mode, it can be used, and if not, we can also mention something here like it can use the port 3000 if not provided. If the mode is equal, okay, just equal to the development, Jesus, development. If the mode is equal to the development, go ahead and run this. That's when all of these things needs to run. I can do something like this. I can do each and okay, we just have to connect to the database, only to the database. Let me cut this. That's when they should await to this. Then else if what? The mode is test. That's when they should listen to the test. That's when they should listen to the test database, right? They should connect to this variable here, not env test db. I'm lost. The code has grown big. Guys, can you see that now the project is getting bigger? Are you going to manage? You people, why are you quiet?
We'll do our best.
No.
We'll try.
I don't understand that word of I will try, I will do my best. You have to. This is a must. You have to. If you can't, then you need to face it with your back. Oh, Jesus. So this is the thing. Once the mode is in production mode, I need to make sure that I spell them very correctly because I need to provide the very accurate things. Then yeah, let's just leave it like this, because at this point I think I will be able to tell that it's into the development, into the what. Then let's set the, let me show you the production server, the Atlas thing. But at least I need to see someone doing the same thing. All of you, you are required to create an account on MongoDB Atlas, because you are going to be using the online database, the online MongoDB. Let me create one so that I can show you how it goes. In the test mode, you will use the online one. In the production mode, you will have to use the online database, but in the development, you have to use the local one.
So can you repeat that again?
I said, when you are testing your application, first of all, locally, you can test locally by using the local development. But once the tests are running on the browser, on the server, because the tests need to run locally. Once they run locally, they can also as well run on the server, right? Once they run on the server, that's when you will have to set up the online database. So let's see. I had this one in place. Databases. How many databases do I have? I have this one. Secondary, the primary thing. So you will have to go ahead and do the configuration. Let me do the connect thing. I'm just connecting from your application. Then you have to copy this thing, and then this is the connection string you will have to put here into the environment variables here for the test. Let's say for the production. This is the only database I need to connect to. Then I can set the password here to that database. Yeah, that's the only thing I will have to change, only the password. But first of all, make sure that you have it locally. Once you need to access the remote one, you have to ask me, and I will help you to create those accounts. Regardless of the team of Savio or regardless of my team, just ask me. Feel free to reach out to me. Alright, remember this thing is not going to be pushed online on the GitHub due to this GitHub ignore. I think we have the env file here. Do you see env test and env file? They don't have to be pushed, but I need to have the env sample. The file that is going to be the sample env, like you can say dot env dot sample. This has to be the sample thing. Then you can take everything from from here, copy, paste it here. Then you will have to remove the values, because you are going to clone this, and okay. So now it's time to push this application so that you can start working on it, right? Let's run it in test mode and see. But first of all, I will need to set up the test database. Let me do this. Let me use the local one. Then I can say test. That was the devdb, and this needs to be the test db locally. I'm just going to be doing it locally, but remember, you have to have this in place when doing it locally. And oh, I forgot to show you this thing. You guys are like watching a movie. You can't even follow. What will happen when I build the application? When I run this, how do you remember? I told you that I need to show you how the ES6 thing looks, and the ES15 code. I'm going to build the application, which means that I'm going to run bubble src. Then I'm going to take everything into this folder and compile them down into ES15 so that they can be in this folder named dist. Can you see here that we don't have any folder named dist, right? Yes?
Yes.
We have no folder here named
Yes.
dist. Then you can run npm run build. You see, now it is compiling. Successfully compiled 15 files with bubble. Then when you go here, you can see they have already generated the the dist file, right? Which is the file that is ready for production. When you open it, you can see each and every folder that we had there. But remember, the folder that are empty here, like the middlewares and helpers, are not going to be compiled. But the folders which has some files inside it, they are going to be compiled, right? Then when you go to the app.js, look at the code that we have right now inside the dist file. This is the ES15 files. Did we write this code? Let me pick randomly because I can see you people are not interacting.
No, we did not write those codes.
I need to ask someone named Landry. Landry. Mic check, Landry. Mic check. Mic check, Landry. Do we have this code in place, or they are the ones that are precompiled, that are compiled by our Babel configuration?
This one's been compiled. This one's been included.
Okay. Hopefully you all understand this, and I can go ahead and okay, save it. Okay, save it as well. Then I'm going to delete this dist folder. And remember, in the Babel node, I mean in .git ignore, we don't have to push the dist because this thing needs to be built on the server, right? Okay. So even though I can remove it or do anything like rebuilding it again, there's no problem. I can still rebuild it. I can still run npm run build. So, and remember, in this start, it has first to run the build, and after running the build, it has next to run the beta npm, these things like production. Okay, but it will have to use node for the production. You have to do something like node in this folder, then you go to dist. Not in production, we don't run the source file, we run the distribution files. Dist, then you run app.js. Okay, let me see. Now we have everything in place, and yeah, that's it. That's what we were supposed to be doing. And when we run start, npm run start, it is supposed to do this. You see, it has first to build our application. After building the application, then it has first also to execute the connection. You see, there is an error, which is this one, bad authentication. Authentication failed to the Mongo server because our environment variable here, we didn't put the password. I don't remember the password. The password was portfolio, I think, if I'm not wrong. Hopefully I'm not wrong, please. I don't remember the password I used. It's hopefully I'm not wrong. Okay, let me go ahead and rerun the same thing. So it is going also to rebuild it, and let's see. Let's see what will happen. Is the server going to run? Let's wait. Still, there is like authentication failed. So I'm failing to authenticate myself to the Mongo server. But yeah, you will have to get the right access here. Let's say we have do we have the server here? Let's use the local one to see if that's a problem of the. We can say prod db because it is going to create itself. Oh my god, very tired. You see now the app is running. Good. So
I
Imam,
have a question.
you have a question also. Yeah.
Where did you get that stuff you used on the local MongoDB?
Yes. You
Yeah,
mean
that stuff for local Mongo database. How did you get it?
here?
Yeah, that stuff.
So remember, I thought that you built an application in the last 2 days. So if I open the Slack right now and go back to my team and come up here, let me see. This is how you connect to the database, the MongoDB database. Did you follow the tutorial? Can't you see with the connect thing? This is a connection string. Like the MongoDB, then localhost, but remember localhost stands for what? 127.0.0.1. That's the IP address. We call it a loopback, IP address. Right? Hopefully you did got it right, and now you can see the server is running. Hopefully I have done much for you guys, and let's do like something like git status. It's already. Question please.
Yeah, so we are not expected to build this from scratch. We are going to clone this project and we keep working on.
Yes, exactly. That's what I told you.
Okay.
Then I'm going to give you the all of this code. Then you are going to work on top of this code. Because I was not sure that you are going to do this. That's why I set it up this code. But hopefully you did got the concept, right? Ndakeka mwabyumvishe from here. Then ibiri bukurikire ni ibyanyu muragenda mu Rwanda nabyo. The TTLs are not going to tolerate. Don't say I'm sick. I've got these people who said ngonyene ukwezi for what? Even though you can be sick from this COVID thing, I don't know. You said that you were sick from COVID. Ukwezi for what? Even the people who are sick from COVID, they take 2 weeks. And they're in bad condition. And then you say, like, guys, you need to stop being lazy. I can tell you this. If you keep being lazy, not even, be serious. That's what I can tell. Just be serious and do the thing. At the end of the day, you will be surprised by yourself having a salary of more than 1 million Rwandan francs by yourself. At the time, you haven't even finished the high school. I mean the university. And people are struggling getting 250 thing salary. Put it much energy. I'm not telling you that you have to work towards the job. I'm not going to give you a job. I can't promise you the job, but your hard work will pay off. I'm very sure your hard work will pay off. If you can't hard work for yourselves, then yeah, you have the other future to follow. I know I can't judge you people. Many of you might have some other careers that you are looking after, but if you feel like coding is going to make money for you, then go ahead and do it. What is it keeping you from doing it? Are we on the same page?
Sure.
Question.
Yes.
I want to know what the difference between a folder of services and controller.
Yeah, sure. Commit. Okay, sure. So with the difference between the controllers and the service, kambivuge mu Kinyarwanda, sibyo byoroshye. Ino folder ya controllers niyo izajya idiringa no guhandoringa buri kintu cyose kiri muri request no muri response. Ni ukuvuga ngo nimba request, sibyo, nimba request ifite body cyangwa ifite some header cyangwa ifite some parameters cyangwa ifite some queries ariyo gusearching, icyo gihe bigomba kuba handled hano. Noneho services tuvuge nituza muri no article controller, tuvuge tugiye gucreatinga article, tukavuga tuti to creating an article, then we have first to get data ziri kuza muri request ni izi, const data tukazivana hehe muri request dot body. Noneho izi data tugahita dukolinga ya service dushaka, which is this one ya create article. Urumva hano muri article controller hano tugomba gukora iki, tugomba kuinstantiatinga ikintu wenda bita this, reka tuvuge like how do you call it, ushobora kuvuga hano service, ushobora kudefining like something like const article service kungana like let's give it an empty thing. What's the problem? Okay, is let going to work? No. Jesus, did I forget the article things? Okay, like that we can have the article service, then you can say this without article service to be equal to the new keyword, and then you instantiate this object, I mean this class article service. Yes, instantiating this article service, right? Then this article service like this is how it's supposed to be working on. Then we importing, then you do import article service. Yeah, import article service from article service, then you instantiate it here. You have no need to go creating, we can do something like, then uga calling hano ukavuga whatever it needs to return, ushobora kuyita response igahita cyangwa ushobora kuvuga like result ikangana let me do this, const result kangana niyi instance yacu ingiyi twinstantiatinze, then tukavuga where are we here, dot, then you create an article. Do you remember the function? And this thing takes the data, then we're passing another data. Whatever this method from this class returns, it will be stored inside the result. Then the response here dot status dot send, and then you send the result from here. Sibyo?
Yes.
That's how it's supposed to be working. So I was doing much for you guys. I'm spoiling you too much. Let me go ahead and delete this.
So about the validations, when do we do validations?
Okay, about the validations, this is the thing. When you reach the validation thing, I will have to do the call for you guys, with you guys. First of all, reka tureke gufata ibintu byose ngo tubishyire mu mutwe nonaha. Tugerageze kubyumva nonaha. First banza wumve ko ushobora gukora API ikora idafite validation. None nyuma tuzashiramo validation na authentication. Sibyo?
Okay.
So gusa ntago nabura kugusubiza ikibazo cyawe to the validation kugira ngo unesting okay, how do I call it, request kugira ngo nesting middleware mbere yuko ukolinga ya controller. Reka turebe hano. Mbere yuko ukolinga this article controller, sibyo? Mbere yuko ukolinga ino function iriturninga ibi bintu, ushobora gukolinga that validation part here. Ya function called validation. Like this, if it is validation, you validating article, ukayivalidatinga, then inside that validation iyo ipasinze muri ya function ya validation, icyo ukora ukolinga iriya attribute bita next. Nono itibwira Node.js ati go to the next middleware inside this route. I will have to do this for you.
Okay.
Let me see. Hopefully I have everything in place, like gate status, article controller. Okay. They said SRC refs main does not match. What? Oh, I won't develop. That's fine. Jesus. Okay, I would love to have someone who is volunteering right now to start sharing their screen. I'm going to show you how you're going to clone this thing into your repository right away. Someone? Do I have to pick randomly? Okay. Thank you, Erihirwa. So, this is the thing. Okay. Go ahead and create a repository. Did you create it?
Yeah, I have one created already.
Okay. Can you delete it and recreate it again?
Yes, sure.
Others, you don't have to create it right away. Right? No, not right now. Go down and delete it. Okay, go ahead and create a new repository. Call it my brand API. Don't check anything there. Just go ahead and create it. Ntugire ikindi kintu ucheckinga aho ngaho. Make it public and go down and create it. No, what we are going to do now, do we import manukasi or import code from other repository? Then I'm going to send you the link to my repository. Let me give you the link to my repository, right?
Yes.
You're going to import the codes from there. Let me give you the link. God, I'm very tired. Jesus. Okay, let me give you the link, the SSH one, because you will need this. Can I send it? Okay, guys.
On Slack maybe.
So that everyone can have it.
Yeah.
Let me see. You know what? You know why I'm not sending it to the Slack? I feel like I'm not supposed to give you this code, but I'm doing for you a favor, guys, to give you the
Oh.
code. So
Then let's use the chat here.
can you text me? Text me. I'm going to send you on Slack. Text me on Slack as a DM. And everyone, once you need this, I'm going to give you access to all. Like, wait a little bit. Wait. Let me put it here. The link. Hopefully everyone can see this link, and I'm going to get all of you emails, all of your emails from copy the list of the guests. Okay, who are the guests? Let me see. Chutik, Xavier, Damosen, Dennis, New. All right, let me share this. Let me share this, my brand. Yeah, I need to save. Then add people. All of you guys are there. Then I will have to remove this guy, Dennis. Is there any more Dennis here?
Yes, not.
All of you have access to this document, and go ahead and you can copy the link here.
Where did you share it?
Oh, let me give you the document. Jesus, I thought that I was sharing I was sharing the I thought that I was sharing the. Let me send it to the channel because I don't think so go ahead and use this one. Can you access that file?
Okay. This is the one.
Are you sharing the screen? Okay, yeah, that's the link.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and paste the link into the GitHub. All of you guys, you have to follow the same steps when importing. Okay, go ahead and okay, go ahead and begin import. Wait for it to import the code.
Looks like it is ready.
Okay, can you click the Eli? Yeah. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Then you have all of that in place.
Yeah, that was quick.
Yeah, that was quick, really. So when you check out to the develop, can you check the develop branch? Can you check the develop branch? Let's see if the develop branch has. Okay, can you go ahead and configure the develop branch to be the default branch?
Where?
Go and click to the branches, two branches. Do you see where there is two branches? And right next to the develop there. Yeah. Can you?
Yes.
Do you see the default branch? Go ahead and use that icon, the switch one, the one with two arrows. Can you switch? No, switch. No, only switch. Use the switch one, the two arrow thing, the two arrow thing. No, close that. Then can you change from main? Use the drop down. Use the drop down. Main, where there is main. Can you click on main? Inside that pop-up. Eli. Can you click on main? No. Then select the
Yes,
develop.
I'm clicking.
Okay.
Develop.
Then update.
Okay. I understand. Alright.
Okay.
Ah.
So go ahead and clone. I'm going to show you only one command to run.
Okay.
So did you clone it? Where did you
Yeah.
clone it? Jesus. Where? Okay, inside your project, I think. But that's not a good practice, I think. Okay, yeah, that's true. I can see you did it. Okay. Can you open the project? Like, can you close all of the
No, it is
package.json
not.
thing?
Yeah.
Close the
Let me just
package.json.
close this one there.
Can you open the VS Code?
Yeah, I'm going to open it.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead and okay. Go ahead and run the script, like ngiye kukwereka script tugiye kurana. The script yitwa npm install. Then npm install, what npm install ikora ijya muri package.json ikinstalla ya ma package yose dufite.
Okay.
Fungura package.json. Wanze urebe ama package yose ugiye kuinstall. Manuka hasi to the dependencies. All of these dependencies ziraza kuba installed. Ubwo ziraza kujya muri node modules. Can you do npm install?
Yes.
Okay, genda muri root directory aho ngaho ucreating file yitwa .env igiye gukipinga ama environment variables. Noneho fata sample env file ibiri muri sample ubikopi ubishyire muri .env. Hari env.sample then nurangiza uziha values bitewe na connection zawe ufite.
Okay.
Do you have your MongoDB running?
Let me check my MongoDB. Paste is that running.
Sudo system control. Status. Then MongoD. MongoD. Yeah.
MongoD that service.
So which means that you have no MongoDB, right?
I do have it.
Sure. How did you install it?
Let me check which one I use.
Oh, you are using unit. Oh, it's quite different. Okay.
Let me check.
Use the unit because which Linux distribution are you using?
Ubuntu 20.04.
Ubuntu 20.04 is supposed to use the system control. Can I take this call? Hello? Yola. Yo. Freshman. Usandi mukazi man. Jenzi man. Hose mani barayiguha mani wowe urasaba hose. Nuko nko kabisa. Byinguzanya mani ko uno munsi ko ndi busy byatari mani ko ndi mu kazi. Yeah. So, okay, I can see that it's running. Really. That's a good communication, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and set up the connection string. Copy the one that you had. It's like MongoD. Copy the one that you had into the recent project. But let me send you one you can refer to because I'm very tired. I need to go off this call.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me send you the connection string into the chat. Everyone, you need to follow this approach. People from Elite team, do you understand?
Yes.
To understand.
At the end of today, you are supposed to have no. What did it do? Go ahead and copy from the chat, from this call chat, the Zoom chat. Okay. Then set one for the test and for the production. Is Savio on this call? I think he didn't attend. He had some work to do. Go ahead and run your application. How do you run the application? Save it and go ahead and run it. Scroll up. Make your terminal look big because I want to see how. Let's wait. What's the problem? Type error. Call site file. The problem is Andela project with the API. Call site get file not found. File name not found. What's that file name? What's that file name? Okay, did I publish the codes that are not working or not? It's running. Let's see the index.js file. At which line? DPD what? Node modules. Oh, it's the problem with the node modules. That's the problem. So you will have to. Can you do again npm install?
on.
It's a problem with the node modules. What? Linux SRC this. Okay. Wait. Wait, I need to see something that is not working. The thing with what kind of node version do you have?
So let's see.
Oh, that's an old version. Jesus.
10.19.
That's an old version. You know I was using the node version 16. Yeah. 16.13.2, I think. So go ahead and find out how you can
Is it possible to update it? Right?
Yeah, how did you install it?
I installed it via the terminal. I had a script from the internet.
So this is the problem right now. Can you go ahead and uninstall it and install the one using NVM? Because with the NVM you can upgrade them without having to uninstall them. Let me give you the link on how you can install it.
Oh, sure.
So with the link that I'm sending right now, you will have to use the okay, I'm sending it. Let me put it in channels as well. So the link that I'm sending right now, you have to use the last option. I mean the third one. You have to scroll through and use the third one. Guys, for others, if you are using Windows, there's no problem because I trust that you have an
Right.
updated version. For people who are using Windows, there's no problem. For people who are using Linux, if you have an updated version, it won't be a problem. And the task for today's task is for you to make sure that you have this application running locally, right, on your computer. Once you have problem, please reach out. And yeah, I'm heading off. I'm just going to take some lunch. Is that fine? Hello.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, fine.
Hopefully you did have the project cloned to your computers. Then yeah, sure. Bye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Good.
Bye.